What's up, guys? We got the new Heart of David, the Kingdom Come drop. If you guys see, this is the t-shirt, super comfortable. Check out the back. If you like hoodies, we got you covered. Matthew chapter 6, we talk about the prayer. It's right over there. It's a powerful prayer. And if you guys like crew necks, we got you covered with the classic black and white. Very, very comfortable, very, very cozy, and here for a limited time. So go to theheartofdavid.co to collect these items today.
So for me, the blame went to God and just like, well, if you're going to treat me like that, forget it. I'm going to do it my way. And that's where Satan is an angel of light. People always make him like this devil with horns and like, come here, come in my closet. And really, he's like gorgeous.
And what do you want?
Exactly.
I'll give you what you want.
And what I wanted was to show Christians I didn't need them and I can do it without them. And he started to boost my career in the mainstream spaces. Big songs on the radio. I got the song with Ty Dolla $ign. They want me to come perform in the club. That's when it just got so dark for me. And God just had to humble me. And that's the best thing God could ever do, is to humble you. It's better to humble yourself, because if God has to do it, it's going to be ugly. For me, it was really ugly.
I'm just playing, I don't fight, I do pray. I only go the way of Mr. Yahweh.
It's not often I sit down with somebody and they say something that makes me think.
Bro, this was great.
I love you guys.
Will you give me something to think about?
My own damn way.
I had a lot of fun on this interview.
Thank you so much for being here, bro.
Absolutely, bro. This is exciting.
I'm actually pumped. I know this episode's just going to be amazing, bro, because there's times where, like, for example, John Bellion, we're talking about John Bellion, but there's times where I meet an artist and I get so excited when they're super authentic.
Oh, yeah.
When an artist is authentic, you could smell it, you could feel it, you could taste it. It's like something that I get excited to dive into. And I guess, like, the first question, I know this is going to be a spiritual, like, conversation, but I also want to make sure that we tie in your talents that God gave you. But my first question overall, before you had the love of music, was the love of God there before or after?
Heck no.
Heck no.
No.
So could you, like, just give me a timeline?
The timeline?
When did you find music? When did that touch your heart?
Music was my mom, a single mom. My mom listened to music for everything. To cook, to clean, to freaking make breakfast, just music always. Like, everything was a soundtrack. She was the first TikToker before there was TikTok. It's just like she had music for everything she did. So I just grew up always hearing music. And then, like 11, my neighbors, I stayed with my grandmother because my mom, single mom, she was struggling to, like, provide. So she worked and sent me to stay with my grandmother. Honestly, she was in her 20s. She probably was partying while I was with my grandmother, but it's fine. We're good.
Hey, but at least she left you with your grandmother.
That's right. So I'm with my grandma, and then my uncles were big into music. My cousins were big into hip hop. And then my next door neighbors were musicians. They were their grandfather was like a musician in a church, and he taught them how to play. So we would all make up songs. And I just would, like, 11 years old, just making up songs, rap songs, singing songs. And then I was trying to get this girl in the neighborhood to like me. And I wrote a song for her.
If you don't mind me, at what age?
11.
11 is when you wrote her a song?
11.
Do you remember the song?
Yeah, do you remember it?
I don't. It was something like, I didn't use her real name, but her name was Beverly. That's an old name, isn't it? That sounds like a grandmother. Beverly. That's why I probably didn't put her name in the song, because it was, that would have sucked. Beverly. But it was like something, I don't remember. I just remember, like, the words were like, I won't treat you like they did the other girl. It was all like, I know how they treat girls, and I won't do that to you. That's basically the gist of it.
What a romantic.
Oh, yeah. Big
Did
time.
you get the girl?
Absolutely not. No.
No,
She was
heard
13.
it and was like, no.
She was 13. I'm 11. Oh. So it's like, that's, you know, the rules of the teenage world.
Girls never liked guys younger.
Yeah,
they always liked the guys older.
I bet she tells all her friends now. She's like, you know, when I was 13, he wrote me a song.
I hope it's not like that. I hope it's like, dang, I missed out.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's what it feels like.
It better be.
Yeah, that's what it needs to be.
Imagine she kept it.
Oh, that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
That would be
Hopefully
crazy.
she sees this clip and she's like, no, I actually, and then she plays the song.
She's somewhere like, yeah, I used to date him.
So she is old.
Yeah, I remember Lecrae. He was cute, but he was 11. I'm 13. What the hell do you want me to do? What am I do? So I don't know. I just, you know.
I love that you have a podcast, by the way.
Man, that was an accident.
How? Talk to me about that.
I was kind of like making music, and then in this place of like, man, how do all the things I'm learning, I can't say it in a song. And my cousin was doing a podcast. His name's Tim Ross. So Tim's doing a podcast, and he was like, hey, I came and did his, and he was like, you should do one. And I was like, I don't know what I would do, how I would even do it. What is that? He was like, well, I got a whole like setup, and I'll connect you with my people, and we can give it a run. And I was like, I'll try it.
I think it's a great idea. You're very, very, very good at expressing yourself.
Yeah.
And I think limiting yourself to just music is kind of steal people's information if they could get to it. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe some people don't like listening to rap, but what you have, the medicine that you're putting in there, they could digest it this way.
Oh,
You know
I
what I'm saying?
like that. Okay.
I thought that's what you were going with.
I didn't know that. That's good. You two compliments in a row I get from this guy.
Let's go.
You know what I'm
Let's
saying?
go,
The
dude.
good energy and the whole vibe. Yeah, no, it really is. It's like cool to be authentic, because I'm not really like, I'm not guarded, and that's probably part of my problem is I'm not guarded.
That's good.
But it is, but it's not, because sometimes you like overshare. And then you gotta like backtrack, and people, you know what I'm saying? So
You're super vulnerable.
Yeah.
So let's tap into that, dude, because as an artist, it's like I could see this man in front of me creating music and podcasts, expressing himself. When you make a mistake, does it weigh on you more knowing that you're representing Christ, and then you have these audience that are trying to be like you, that's trying to be like Christ?
yeah, yes and no. So before, like when I first started like following God, I didn't like it's been, so to say this, it's been dope to watch your journey, because it reminds me a lot of mine. Like you're just like, bro, I don't know what's up, what's down. I just love Jesus. What is this wrong? That's wrong. I don't know. Can I cuss? Can I not? Can I drink? Can I smoke? What do I do? How does this work? And it's like, that reminds me of me. And when I first came in, I was like, oh, I need to follow these people. And so you get with this group of people, and they say, well, you can't do this, this, this. And you got all these rules in your head now. And so when I drop the ball, I'm like, oh, man, I messed up. Because those are the things that they told me about, more so than like, how does God feel about me? So I used to feel a lot of pressure to not drop the ball because people were watching. But it was like, I was more committed to my, how do I say it? I was more committed to my faith in God than God's love for me, if that makes sense. It was kind of like, I was so worried about how I looked to the world with my relationship. I was not thinking about how God saw me and what God thought of me in my relationship with him. So it was way more like, what did they think? And less like, God, what do you think?
That's very
what I
honest,
mean?
bro.
Yeah.
That's a very honest look.
Yeah.
This video is sponsored by Manscaped, by their new Chairman Pro package. You know that feeling you get when you go to the barber and it's like so nice and fresh, and you feel good, you feel nice, you feel clean? Well, what if I told you you no longer have to wait for that appointment at the barbershop? Introducing Manscaped's latest release, the Chairman Pro. The all-in-one set includes everything you need to recreate that luxury professional shave right at home. Whether you're after that daily sleek, smooth finish, or prefer to maintain a rugged 5 o'clock shadow, the Chairman Pro package has you covered. It doesn't come with just one, it comes with 2 interchangeable skin-safe blade grips. Look at that, dude. I wish I had this when I was a kid. I get such bad razor bumps. Now this thing has saved my life. They have a power shaving gel now, head and face. Are you joking? They also have a face shave soother. Say that 3 times. Go to manscaped.com and use my code George for 20% off and free shipping. You don't have to go to Target. You just click the website, you put my code on, free shipping. It's pretty impressive. Your lyrics to me, when I'm going through them, before, if I'm listening to your music, I'm just at the gym and I'm pumping. But then before this interview, I'm like going through and I'm skimming through your lyrics, and there's a lot of that's there. I'm like, damn, I can't believe he was so vulnerable to even put that in there. Like I literally sat around and played it for everybody. I was like, did you hear? Like, how do you have the confidence to say that? I would love to do 2 of them. And if any of them make you feel uncomfortable, you could always say, like, no, pass.
Yeah, go for it, man.
The first one is, and man, this one touched my heart. I give out so much
Oh, no,
love.
no, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, I know it's too much, yeah?
No,
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I give out so much love, but I don't know where to go find it. And to me, I think every Christian that truly is chasing after Jesus' heart fall into this category because once we start emulating Jesus, we then realize how selfish our family and friends are.
Sheesh.
And then you have to humble yourself to remember that we were just like them until we got our eyes on Jesus.
Oh my
how did you
gosh.
wrestle with this in the industry?
Man, first of all, you nailed it because true story. So I think I become a Christian, right? And I'm in my little bubble around other Christians. And everyone in my bubble is like, we're just trying to outdo each other. Just like, no, you do. I'll do it for you. No, I'll do it for you. And that was like the world we kind of lived in. And then I got out of my bubble, more in the industry. And you forget like people are fake and people are just like, oh, this is just an act. You don't really care about me at all. You don't care about what I have going on, like nothing. There's no sincerity here. And I just gotta grin and like love you through this. You know what I'm saying? So, like one scenario I can think of is like, oh my gosh, I don't believe I'm not gonna use names, but
We could also beep them out if you're comfortable. So you can say the name or we'll always beep it out.
okay, cool, perfect. So Diddy.
Damn!
I'm just joking. That's going viral. We messed up. It was a joke.
Let's go.
Oh, shit.
It was a joke.
Oh, damn.
It was a joke. No, it wasn't. Illuminati. I told y'all. Look, there he goes. So I had a good friend, and he becomes a Christian, but he's still in the music industry. You know what I mean? So he's like trying to figure out how to walk this out. And we get to working together. He's tied up in the hip hop space and a lot of rappers and whatever. And so I'm going with him on like these missions to just like connect with the artists and the producers. And then more and more I'm just in these rooms and around all this stuff. And, you know, people, you start doing favors for folks. Okay, I'll do that for you. I'll give you this song. I'll do this for you, do this for you. And little by little, like my friend, for me, I'm serving him. I'm just like, yo, I'm trying to hook you up. I'm trying to make this happen. But we started getting wins. Like the songs started streaming well, or, you know, awards, all this different type of stuff. And man, it just started to get to a point where it was like an entitlement thing. Like the people around him were like, hey, where's my credit? Where's my this? Where's my that? And I was like, bro, I wasn't even in it for this. I was just
helping.
Yeah, I was trying to, you know what I mean?
They
and
take your kindness,
man,
and they make it your weakness.
So I think for me, I just learned, like, it's very hard for me to like really be friends with people who I have to share some kind of credit with, or like we're working on building a platform together, because I'm always nervous that you don't really genuinely, you're doing this for you and not for a greater cause. Yep. And then you get your emotions mixed up, and then the friendship just goes
south.
Exactly.
What's helped me with this outlook, and I don't know if you're even looking for, but what helped me is like, it happens so much back to back to back, setting up somebody I love and then drop and set it. And then I became spiteful, not spiteful. I had my walls up.
Yeah.
Like bitter.
Yeah.
And I stopped making friends. I stopped being there for my neighbors. I just became so cold to the atmosphere.
This is not good advice, by the way.
Not great advice.
This is your advice?
Yeah, put up walls.
Okay.
And I basically brought it to God and I said, what would you want me to do? And he said, remember how they treated me.
Woo.
And I was like, okay, so let me marinate that. Every day I wake up aiming to please God, but I do what that friend did to you. Every day I do that to him. Every day I say, I'm going to stand up for you. I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to take this away from you. And I fall straight on my face. And God says, instead of worrying about how they do that to you, you worry about how you do that to me.
You were like a super underachiever in school, weren't you?
Super.
I could tell.
Super.
I could tell. Like you, like as I'm listening to you, I'm like, yo, man. Like, this is a profound guy, but I can tell you just were like the ADD kid or something who just
failed so bad. I failed so bad. I got suspended for going to the bathroom too many times.
I could so tell, bro. I could tell.
What was your life like in school?
No, similar. That's how I know.
This is me.
I was like, yo, my man is killing it. And your mom's like, why don't you kill it like that on the grades? How about that?
I tried. Did you try?
Did I try? I don't know if I tried, bro.
Damn, you didn't pay attention so much that you didn't even pay attention to how much you tried.
Ninth grade, true story. Ninth grade, I was so worried about what everybody thought of me. I needed glasses, right?
Yeah.
So, and I couldn't afford contacts. So I needed glasses, and I wouldn't wear my glasses because I was like, I'm not gonna, like, yeah, if you're a Gen Z, glasses are like cool. It's like, oh, look at you, man, glasses. It doesn't matter. Nerds are cool. You
Now
know?
people wear fake glasses.
Yeah, so no big deal. But when I was in school, that was not cool. So I wouldn't wear my glasses because it was like, nah, I'm not gonna sit here and look like a nerd. So I literally failed. Like, I got an F in every class except gym. I got a D in gym that year, that semester. Because I just
How did you get a D being 6'4", bro?
Because I didn't dress out. I was like, I'm not wearing them dumb shorts, man. I'm not finna dress in
Not
those
even
dumb
change.
shorts. I'm changing clothes, bro. I'm too cool for school.
I'm gonna be honest with you. All I hear is that God was sculpting you in school to remember that you shouldn't care your surroundings. So when He puts you in the position you are, you now know that that's worthless to think about.
That's very true.
Do you know what I'm saying?
That's how I feel about Hollywood. That's how I feel about the industry. It's like, it's so funny because I got younger artists and I'll come out here. Like, we came out here one year for like Grammys. I brought some of my younger artists with me, and we're at all these events. They, you know, when you're in the industry, they have all these like events and showcases.
Like the Diddy parties.
Listen, you want to talk about Diddy parties? Okay, I didn't go to those parties.
I feel like you did.
Those things I don't know about. The quiet, secret freak-offs, I know nothing.
Hard cut, we see the court dates.
Nothing
Like,
about.
He lied to us.
The media-sanctioned events, sure, I went to those. There's media there. There's cameras and security, and everyone is there. When the lights got dark, I don't know what happened. I was not there. I don't know anything about that.
Okay.
But other showcases and, like, you know, there was one event I remember, like, SZA performed before she was big. You know, and we're watching SZA, and I got my young artists there, and they're just like, wow. I said, bro, none of this is real. He was like, what? Where you at? None of this is real. You're going to go back home to Atlanta and be on your patio, and none of these people are going to call you. And nothing, there's no magic fairy dust out here. Like, it's all fake. It's just smoke and mirrors.
It's crazy.
Yes.
It's really crazy. You know what else? It all leads to death.
Facts.
Do you ever get on yourself because, like, you're creating music, right? And you hear, like, this music that's hitting the radio stations, and you know that your tongue only bends for the Holy Spirit because that's where you received your gifts. Mm-hmm. Do you ever listen to other people cooking in the studio and you're like, oh, I could body this in such a better way than they're doing, but my gifts are from God, so I'm just going to hang back on this type of music?
Bro, when I first started, like, rapping for the Lord, when I first got, you know, when the Lord transformed me, like, I was like, yo, I need to say the things that God is doing in my heart over this music, right? And I would go to this studio. It was a famous studio in Texas. All the big rappers would go to this studio. And so the producers are in there, the engineers in there, and I asked them, could they record me, right? So they're recording my music, and they're like, yo, this is crazy, bro. You sure you only rap for God? And I was like, that's it. It was like, that's crazy. Because you would be hard. You would really make it. You know what I mean? And it was like, nah,
You're like,
man.
hey, Allegiant, shut up. What's up, guys? This video is sponsored by Life Cycle. If you are on a diet or a journey of fitness, this might be the best product for you. Or maybe you have digestive problems, sleeping problems, loss of hair problems. You could actually go through all of it like I do with the Biohacker set. Let me run you guys through what each one does. If you want to realize your potential, they say cordyceps is the way to go. If you have trouble sleeping like me, you want to take some of the reishi. Shiitake is actually pretty special. I didn't even know it really helps hair, and I was just taking it because I was taking the whole Biohacker set, and I just kept looking in the mirror, and my hair was like getting shinier, and I was like, what the heck? And then I realized what it was. It was just that. Turkey tail is fire if you have gut issues, bro. Fire if you have gut issues. Try it out for yourself, by the way. Like, don't just take my word for it. You should always go and try stuff for yourself. I bet you've heard about lion's mane. Lion will bring the lion out of you, bro. You take a few drops of that, you're ready for the day. It helps me focus. It takes away my brain fog. If this is something you're interested in, from hair, nails, gut, focus, go to my link in my description, click it, and get your yours today. Don't forget to click the link in my description and use my code George20.
So where in your career did you realize that it was smoke and mirrors? Because in 2011, you came out with your 4th album, you got to perform for the BET Awards, and that must have been huge for you. So
that was massive.
Where were you at in your journey, in your faith?
Yeah, my motto even to this day is if you live for people's acceptance, you'll die from their rejection. And so it's kind of like the idea that if the world defines you, then when they turn their back on you, you'll be crushed, right? And I say that because I know that's what I internally battled with, was this massive insecurity. It's already like, you're already insecure in a space like hip hop representing God. Like, you're an alien. So much so that during the BET Cypher, they do the Cypher at the BET Hip Hop Awards, they didn't know what category to put me in. My publicist was like, we got you in the Cypher. And they were like, what category do we put him in? They put me in the international category because it was like, we don't have a place for you. Like, there's West Coast, East Coast, and then Jesus. I don't put him with the Yugoslavian rapper. That's what they put me. I was like,
It wasn't
cool.
the gospel album?
There was no gospel category for the BET Hip Hop Awards.
Oh, okay.
So it was just that. So for me, in that space, my insecurity and knowing I was already like, my back was against the wall, just made me more aggressive. It made me more like
hungry.
Yeah, I was like David when it's time to kill Goliath. Is like, okay, I know I'm little.
Yep.
I know I'm the son of Jesse, the most least likely to make it. So I'm about to chop the head off of this thing because only power I have is from God. I don't have anything to stand. I can't stand on my block. Can't stand on, I got the whole West Coast on my back. I don't have any of that. All I have is Jesus. So for me, it was like, let me double down on Jesus and just like see what happens. So you just kind of go in there swinging your sling. And I think people respected that. I think even if they didn't like it, they were like, I got to respect that. You know what I mean?
Deep down in their core. What part in your career were you like, okay, it's me and God, and then I know this happens to you, bro, because if God is using you, then I know this happened. The devil snuck his way into your garden and said, hey, remember, all these other people that are critiquing you, they didn't walk your footsteps. Remember, stay true to who you are. And that little sneaky line is like, well, the true version of me is evil, and I got to leave that behind. Was there any part of your career where you're like, all right, I got to crucify myself and like now really, really be about Jesus?
Big time. So when I first started off, like you said, just like roar, Jesus.
The lion version.
Yeah, the lion version of, and then what happens to every artist, every public figure, right, is people build them up to unrealistic expectations just to tear them down. So like, folks were like, yeah, go harder, go, you're killing it for Jesus. Then you get so high that people are like really like scrutinizing everything you do. So it's like, well, if we put you there, you better do it exactly how we would do it, right? If you're going to be on Jimmy Fallon, you better say the word repent. If I don't hear repent come out of your mouth on Jimmy Fallon, bro, you are fake.
Yeah.
So it was like, I was lifted so high by the Christian community, like all I did was let them down after that. It was like, oh my God. So it got so bad, and no one taught me about social media back then. Like, it was like, I didn't know you weren't supposed to read all the comments. So there were no rules. So I'm just reading stuff like all
Read
this
the feedback.
Yeah, it was like, ooh, and it was so negative, and just tear you down. I mean, the truth of the matter is probably like 200 positive, 4 negative, but the 4 were loud.
Sticks.
Yeah, just like, And so from there, I just got this chip on my shoulder, just kind of like, you guys always just critique everything I do. I can never do anything right. And it's like, I'm like, and then I'm like, yeah, that's right. They hated Jesus too. So they gonna hate me. And you just like, you know what I mean? It's like, word, you guys wanna, you think, oh yeah, that's what you think. Well, I'm gonna be.
You try to do it.
Yeah.
You try to do it.
Yeah, you couldn't do what I do. Be me for a day. So I got this real kind of chip on my shoulder. And then that turned into bitterness.
Yep.
And then the bitterness turned into like, you stop blaming the church and start blaming God. Like, people hurts become God hurts.
Amen.
And it's like, yo, God didn't hurt you. Some of his people may have, but God didn't do that. But then, so for me, the blame went to God and just like, well, if you're going to treat me like that, forget it. I'm going to do it my way. And in my way was just like, and that's where Satan is an angel of light. Because people always like make him like this devil with horns and like, come here, come in my closet. And really, he's like gorgeous.
And what do you want?
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll give you what you want.
Exactly. And what I wanted was to show Christians I didn't need them and I can do it without them. And he started to boost my career in the mainstream spaces.
Yeah.
So now it's like big songs on the radio. I got the song with Ty Dolla $ign. They want me to come perform in the clubs now. And it was like, yeah, you Christians would never come in here, would you? Well, I'm here. You know what I'm saying? And so that's when it just got so dark for me. You know, that's when the drinking got really crazy. I already knew my Bible so well, I could justify anything theologically. So it's kind of like, what do you want? What did you see me do? Oh, you saw me sniffing cocaine with a stripper? Was that what you saw me doing? Well, let me tell you what 1 Corinthians says. There's no real way to justify that, by the way. That was an example.
I was going to be honest, dude. I was like, I'm a fellow Bible reader, too. Don't know where you're going with this one.
I never did that for real like that.
Yeah.
But the point I'm making is, it just was like, what are you going to say to me? You know what I mean? And God just had to humble me. You know what I mean? And that's the best thing God could ever do, is to humble you before. Like, honestly, it's better to humble yourself, because if God has to do it, it's going to be ugly. And for me, it was really ugly. But in him humbling me, I remember coming to the scriptures, and man, this is after just benders and feeling depressed and being drunk all the time. And in a constant, I was, you know, just for me, like, even as we talk about smoking weed and stuff like that, like, it's not that alcohol is a sin. It's not that it's like, oh, this is a sin. It's that the dependence on it was.
Yeah,
right?
it's your God. It's an idol.
Exactly. It was the idol factory that I was creating. And so for me, I just crashed. You know, I remember being out drunk, and I wasn't really, if you saw me on stage, I would never talk about God. I would say positive things, but I would never talk about God. There was still some respect I kind of had for God, to where it was like, if I'm going to be out here wilding, I'm not going to do it in the name of Jesus. So, and I was drunk one night, woke up hungover, and something was wrong with my brain. Like, I just couldn't, it was like, there was like a haze, and I was like, what is this going on? And I was like, this is weird. Like, this is the weirdest hangover I've ever had. And then as the day wore on, it wouldn't go away. And then I was like, what the heck is this? And I wasn't hungry. And I couldn't feel, I was watching something and it wasn't funny. It was supposed to be funny. And I was like, what the heck is going on with me? And then I was like, this is probably depression. And then I started Googling, and it was like, oh, I'm in a clinical depression right now.
You separated yourself from God.
Yep. And it was like, and I didn't know that internally I was just like wrestling with guilt and shame and all this stuff and just pushing myself away. And I think that was the moment, you know, where it all broke. And down the line, I went and opened up the scriptures, and where Jesus comes back to Peter, and after Peter's denied him 3 times.
Oh, this makes me cry every time.
And he's like, do you love me?
3 times.
Yeah. And it's like, Jesus wasn't asking Peter because Jesus didn't know. Jesus was asking Peter because he was like saying, hey, Peter, what's going on in here? What's happening in here? And he's like, you know I love you. He was like, if you love me, feed my sheep. To me, it wasn't a command to feed God's sheep. To me, it was a privilege that God was still giving me. After I denied you, you're still telling me I'm allowed to feed your sheep. I wept.
And you're like, how?
Exactly.
Like, why? You know how I felt in my heart.
Yep.
And I think this is such a beautiful take, because I had the same exact take, and I came to the conclusion that it is a gift that he gave us, that we're in our position. And when it comes out and harms us, instead of being a brat about it, we should just ask God, hey, lift me up above this storm. And like, let me see it the way that you want. And now all of my prayers are like, I want to see the way you want me to see. I want to hear the way you want me to hear. I want to speak the way you want me to speak, because it's for me now. And it sounds selfish, but it's like, when you have a calling and God is calling you to do something, and I'm reading the gospel, I did see that some got drunk and wept because they couldn't hold it. But then I also saw some people sang and praised while the chains broke off of them. So God's saying, you have lack of faith to know that you're in the middle of these wolves, but you forgot that I'm with you.
I always remember a mentor of mine years ago told me that peace is not the absence of the storm. Peace is a bird on a branch still singing in the middle of the storm. And that's kind of how I look at it. It's like, bro, I don't like, people will say, oh man, such and such said this about you, or such and such did this, or even if I hear somebody say they have like, yeah, Lecrae and him have beef or they have problems. I'm like, Lecrae doesn't have beef with anybody. Now he may have issues with me. Yeah. I promise you, I go to sleep fine at night. I have no bitterness in my heart. Because at the end of the day, I've been through too much and God has shown me so much grace. How could I ever hold you to a higher, like, take the moral high ground on you? I am trash outside of the grace of God. There's
Amen.
no way in the world I'm gonna be sitting around thinking I'm better than you for whatever you did. I don't care. It's something that God can forgive you for, and so can I.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
Amen.
It's kind of like it ties back to what we were saying earlier about, you're saying it's hard sometimes to, you feel like you're giving so much to others because you want to reflect Jesus, but then the others don't give you back. But then you realize that, well, you have to do it because you want to, and you realize that you're doing it because that's how Jesus treats you. And that if other people don't amount to the same that you're giving them, it's just because they weren't given the gift of the wisdom that God has given you. Because it's like the gift that he gives you to know, to want to treat other people around you with grace and with peace. That's a privilege that we have that other people are lacking, and so they can't reciprocate that.
Yeah,
right?
man.
Dig deeper into that thought. It's like you're gonna punish them for not having the gift that God gave you.
Right.
So you're gonna punish your brother and sister because you know that where you were a couple years ago in the same position, and this happens in the industry all the time. We level up and we look at them like, "Oh, you're still there, bro? You haven't figured it out, my man." And like when we walk with God, we remember that it ain't us, so He could take it away from you. And if I saw my son smacking his neighbors with what I gave him, I'm taking that back. Dude. You ain't gonna touch my other children like that.
To me, I think that is maturity, and that's like maturity is not just age. Anybody can get older, but only some people get more mature. And I think if you can't control your emotions, what you're showing is a lack of maturity. You know what I mean? And you're not allowing God to really mold you into the person that you're supposed to be, because you can't control your emotions, especially like, I don't know, like the way I grew up, it was all about bravado. And when I go back to my old neighborhood, like I still struggle a little bit, less now than I used to, with not becoming the men that I was raised around. The men I was raised around went to prison, they shot people, they stabbed people. And it's like God rescued me and didn't allow me to even go down that path. And a lot of guys I will see feel like to be a man is to be the toughest, most, like to let your emotions take you to a place where you can pummel somebody, crush them with your words or whatever it may be. And that looks like you're the winner. You're the one. And for me, I'm like, actually, taking the route Jesus took is the more mature route. Like that shows growth. You know what I'm saying? Like he wore shame. And that, I think that's the other thing I'm just now learning too, is like I'm reading this book called Misreading Scripture with Western Eyes. Because I've realized like I'm such an American, like this is a whole nother culture when I'm looking in the scriptures. And it talks about honor, shame cultures. So like the East is like more about honor and shame. The West is more about like conscious and like guilt. And so like honor and shame, like Jesus, to be shamed in his time, in his culture, was like the worst. It's like when you there's a place in Japan, I guess, where people like go and unalive themselves because of shame. Like, oh, I dishonored my family. And like for us, it's like, what? Like, who cares what my mom thinks? I don't like her anyway. That's kind of the more Western mentality. But the Eastern mindset is more like, I cannot bring shame upon people, my family. And that's the world Jesus was growing up in. And then he's like, yeah, I'm going to let them shame me, accuse me of stuff I didn't do, string me up on a cross, crucify me, strip me naked, because a lot of times they got this little cloth over Jesus. Like when you look at the little relics in the store, it's like a little cute cloth covering it. But they didn't have a cloth in Rome. It was like man parts exposed, which is the most dishonorable thing ever. And it's like, wait, if Jesus could embrace that shame for the sake of something greater, what the heck am I doing? Why do I have to destroy somebody with my words or pummel them or whatever it may be? And so for me, maturity has been learning how to, like you said, to manage my tongue. Maturity's because there's some people online. Sometimes I'm just like, well, I would destroy you.
Yeah.
I would destroy you in my comments talking crazy, fam. Man's talking crazy.
Well, we grew up in a time that we didn't really hear anybody talk unless it was right in front of us.
Yeah.
So the whole concept of like watching them speak behind our backs is weird. What you're describing to me is what the Jews felt like when they were being moved from Egypt to the Promised Land. That little transfer, they kept wanting to be slaves because they were like so used to how they were treated, and they want to go back, and they feel like this is what's needed to be done.
Yeah,
but that's our
good.
flesh.
That's good.
That's our flesh. The devil will make you do something in your heart or in action, and then be like, "You did that? You're more like me than me. You're an evil person." But that's why you got to know the gospel.
So, I, as you say this though, my fault. It's my ADD kicking in a little bit. But
Welcome
like,
to my life.
but like you're like, so, like you believe, and I can just tell you're passionate about what you believe, right? So, before your transition, were you like this about something else? Like before Jesus got a hold of you, were you like passionate? Like what were you passionate about and dogmatic about? Like you're like, no, I believe this. I'm sticking to it.
I really, really loved Jesus, and I had no idea who he was. And I think that's a lot of Christians. Their mom and dad tells them about Jesus, and I'm like, I love Jesus. And they're like, from Nazareth? I was like, who? And they're like, I was like, no, the Jesus is our God. He goes, yeah, from Bethlehem. I go, was it Nazareth or Bethlehem, buddy? And like, I just didn't know him.
Okay.
And so once I found out who he was, I was like, ooh, I'm not really behaving in the way that.
Okay.
So one day when I'm at rock bottom and I'm like, all right, I'm in this industry. Everything that I've ever had my heart want is here, and I'm miserable. And it took me years to digest that. It wasn't the people around me. It wasn't my career. It wasn't my point of view. It was the fact that I was doing all these things and then putting God last.
Yeah.
And then wondering where the peace and joy was.
I don't know how to make people don't believe, like you said it and I say it. People don't believe that you can have everything you ever imagined and feel empty.
Oh yeah.
Like I just wish there was some way to like make people really believe that like, shit, if I had it, whatever, bro, give me what you had and I promise you I'll be good. And I'm like, bro, I'm telling you. Because I think another way, maybe this is a way for people to get it, is like, if you got running water and you lay on a bed every night and you don't worry about food for the most part, you have what someone else in another part of the world would be like, if I had that, I would have peace. And you don't have peace with your running water, your mattress, and your 3 meals. So I think it's like, I don't know how to, because I've been there. I'm like, oh, I'm the most depressed I've ever been and the most successful I've ever been at the same time.
That is the biggest blessing. And I think a true Christian understands that, bro. Someone who really thirsts for Jesus knows that is such a privilege, that God was so graceful to take our joy and peace, because he's reminding us, hey man, where you're walking towards ain't life.
Ain't nothing
Ain't
there.
life. And dude, I've been dabbling and journaling in this thought, and the thought is this: there's 2 men in front of God's eyes. One who's grateful, one who's not. There's different levels of life. You could be poor or you could be rich. That does not consume your peace and joy.
Yeah.
He says in the gospel that I give you peace and joy above humans' understanding, right? So we don't even know how to comprehend it. But what I found is I found peace throughout my life, throughout every vertical of my life, is when I depended on him and not me.
That's good. I need to do a gratitude journal. I thought about doing that before, but I never really like took the discipline to do it. I'll think thoughts of gratitude. I actually pray that way now. Like I pray the Lord's Prayer. Most of my prayer is just a rendition of the Lord's Prayer, and I'm like using it to practice gratitude in the midst of it, because a lot of times I think we just, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. What the heck am I saying? So I like try to like understand what I'm saying, and then like, oh, you're my father, and you live in a whole nother dimension in time and space. Man, use me some kind of way to make your name holy. Like, you're already holy, but how can my life reflect that holiness? Like, holy be your name through whatever I do today. You know, your kingdom come through this podcast, through me going to get some shoes, through me eating some ramen. Your kingdom come, your will be done. And just like, then I get to give us this day our daily bread. I'm like, Lord, I already have my daily bread. Like, you already fed me today. Like, my goodness, like just trying to feel that sense of gratitude and walking through that. And then, you know, another thing that has encouraged me too, because I think for me, I've just become way more aware of the spiritual realm. And so it's weird because
You can't unsee it.
Right.
It's the only thing you see now.
Bro.
And it's like you're living in a different world than they're looking at.
Bro, get out of my head, bro.
Yeah, right?
Get out of my
Can
head.
I say something
bro.
that's going to touch you a little bit?
Go ahead.
Not like Diddy, though.
right.
You see when you're with somebody and the jewelry on them, if they're positioned in a certain way, it hits your eyes and you're like, hey, dog. But they have to be positioned in a certain way that the light reflects from there to here to you. And Jesus is saying, position yourself. So that way from there, it can hit me and then it can hit you. And as Christians, we know when we're not doing that.
Boy.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Boy.
And that attacks you when
Not
you specially
reflecting.
ask for it.
Man, that's where my headspace is like, I see it, I can't unsee it. And then the crazy part too is like, it's the weird thing, especially with like my non-Christian friends. Like, they believe in positive spiritual realm. And even like my Christian friends, they'll believe in like, oh yeah, there's a good God and there's a heaven and there's angels, but they don't believe that there is an evil spiritual realm. And like, it's like, yo, y'all are tripping. Like, y'all are.
That's the
like,
best trick the devil got.
Man, I'm like,
the best trick the devil got is, I don't exist.
yeah.
Right.
And
Bro, when the CIA comes and strikes, or like the government strikes another country, they don't call them and be like, hey, we're on our way. Do you get what I'm saying? They're like, they're undercover, they're sneaky, and you
Facts.
only know when the job is done.
Facts. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I always hear people, especially like my non-Christian friends or family or whatever, and they're always like thanking the universe, and they're just like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, you never attribute any negativity to the universe, ever. You're never like, man, the universe is whack, man. Like, man, look at all these homeless people. The universe is tripping. The universe just gets all the positive credit and none of the negative. And I'm like, what do you think evil is like? Do you not think there's evil out there? You know what I mean? Like, you're blinded by evil in this very moment. And in the spiritual space, because I'm looking and I'm seeing like, oh shoot, like I see evil in that happening all over the place. Like, I see it all the time now. I think it used to freak me out. And then I got into Ephesians and I started reading about the armor of God. And the thing that gave me the most encouragement is at the end, it says, if you put on the armor of God, you will stand. Not you might, but you will.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, okay, cool, we win. So all this crazy stuff I'm seeing is like, oh, you don't really stand a chance.
No,
And maybe
they can't even
them-
say their name. You know that, right? In the scripture, the devil refers to them as a holy one. You know how gangster that is, dude? All of the other religions, I saw this on an Instagram thing, and he goes, I debated all of this religion in one way.
Yeah.
He goes, if we go to the end of the road and there's two doors, he goes, are you going to ask advice from the man who's dead or alive? And so all these other religions, when they come to me and they go, well, why is it Jesus? Why is it Jesus? I'm like, because Jesus came back to life.
Yep.
And they're like, well, you can't believe that. I go, dude, everybody who saw it with their eyes lined up to die
Yeah.
right after.
Yeah.
So if they're not scared of death, then I got to stop being scared of
Facts.
death. And once we start moving in life, not afraid of death, then we could truly have eternal life in him.
Yeah. I'm a masochist because I'm ready.
Me too, bro.
I'm ready.
I'm
That's
done.
good because that means you have peace, you know?
Yo,
we used
I'm-
to talk about this all the time. We'd be like, oh, what if like something's going to happen? There's going to be war and the world's going to end. And I like realized that like I came to an understanding where I was like, I honestly have so much peace. Like, and now I know Jesus. Like, I know
What?
his love for me. Like, I'm I'm okay. Like if that's in his path, if that's in his will, then like
Yeah.
I'm good to go. Because what are we going to do? Spend the last few days having anxiety and stress about the fact that we may die and we're going to ruin our last few days and we're going to die anyways? Or are we going to rejoice and have a beautiful last few days?
Yeah.
Right?
I already have anxiety and stress as it is, just because I've lived on this earth long enough to see. Like, if you just keep walking in your faith enough, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, this place is broken.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Mad,
time for
bro.
a redo. The kingdom needs to come.
Yeah.
Okay, now I got another point of view now. All right, so that was the last chapter of my life. Now, check this out. I believe you could bring heaven on earth now.
I to a degree, I agree.
Yes.
Let's
so
see where you go.
I think that okay, so listen to this. As soon as I foregoed my own life.
Is that a word? I don't know.
Foregoed?
I don't know.
I'll make it one.
Okay. Sounds good.
So we forgot this and forgoed it, right? And when I gave my life to God and I said, I'm done worrying about it, I stumbled upon the verse that says, whoever worries about saving their life will surely lose it. And whoever gives his life for my account will gain it. We always think that God's going to take away the gifts that he gave us. And we're just like, no, but we love this gift.
Yeah.
But then we are showing that we love the gift more than the gift giver.
That's good, man.
So
that's good.
As soon as he sees that in your heart, you don't love the gifts more than him. I think much is given, much is tested.
Yeah.
And I think the testing is, do you love this? Have you made it your God? You're in the music industry. You're highly respected. Do you not love that position more than who gave it to you?
I agree with you. I think that, like Paul said, I've had plenty and I've had none, and I found contentment. And I think like that's where the heaven on earth is in a lot of ways. Is like that place of contentment, like where it's like, oh yeah, God, if you want to give me 10 times this, or you don't, like you are my real treasure.
Amen.
So however this rocks. But I also agree, because I think you were talking about it earlier when you talked about fruit. It's like the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control. It's like nowhere else except for a follower of Christ has the fruit of the Spirit.
Amen.
The world cannot really truly experience love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control unless they encounter us. So we're literally here to bring the kingdom forward on earth by showing the world the fruit. And to me, I agree, like we are bringing the kingdom here in that regard. Like, oh, you thought money was going to bring you love, joy, peace. Come here. Let me show you what's really going to make that happen for you. That's kind of where my headspace is, to where it's like, for instance, true story. Like I just bought my wife a car, and it's like, I'm like, yo, should we get this car? Because she's the frugal person. And I've been more like, man, who cares, bro? It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's just a car. Like, it's not a big deal. Because at the end of the day, whether you pay $10,000 or $1 million, it's like, it's more money than somebody else, than you need to spend on a vehicle at the end of the day. And I was like, I don't know, man. Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should just chill. And then I had to get to a place in my own heart where I'm like, you're afraid. That's why you don't want to buy the car. You're afraid.
I love how honest you are, bro.
Like, you're scared.
I love how honest you are,
You're
bro.
scared that now, like, oh, the money was your security, and if you let go of it, you're not going to be in good shape. Like, God's not going to show up. It's like, you're afraid. The money is really what's protecting you, not God. Is that what you're thinking? And it's really not enough. First of all, we're not buying the type of car that's going to like ruin me financially, but still.
No, it sneaks up on you, bro. It sneaks up on you. Do you know that there's only one place in the Bible where God asks you to test him? Did you know this?
I didn't.
Did you guys know this? There's only one place
They
in
don't
the
know
gospel.
their Bible, so they don't know.
Get out. Let's get it. No, there's one place, and it's with money. God says, if you test me with the money you have, I will bless you so much that you and your neighbors will not know what to do with it. So this is so funny, because also in the scripture, in another place, he says there's two gods, right? There's the God that you create here and the real God. And a lot of people make money their God because I could pay the light bill. God forbid something happens to her. So now I'm positioning to the God that I have the control of what's going on here, right? Through money. And so God says, if you take what I gave you, i.e. what I gave you, and you distribute it through your neighbors, and you don't, and by the way, when you're doing this hand shall not know what this hand gives. So I don't tell anybody besides my wife who is getting from what it is. And when I do give it, I do not boast in glory. I say, it has been put in my heart that my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, wants to give you this. And then I will give them what I feel the Lord wants me to give. The day that I started doing this was the day I never stopped worrying about money.
That's
ever.
good, bro.
Okay, let's think about it. If you had children and you dispersed money between them, and one was buying shoes, a t-shirt, and headphones, and one kept some to himself, saved some for his family, and helped his neighbors, who are you going to give more money to?
Absolutely. Not the spoiled one, not the wasteful one.
And by the way, anyone who's spoiled and ungrateful, I could give you $1 billion. Next year, you'll want more.
You'll be broke.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you 10,000%. And I think too, like, it's dope to have that perspective and to be like, okay, God, like, test me and see what I do. And I think the problem for a lot of us, at least for me anyway, is I'll have a season where I trust him, and then I'll see the fruit of that season, and then I'll be good, and I'll forget that God was the one that took care of me, and I'll be thinking that it was me.
Adam and Eve.
You know what I'm saying?
thing.
And it's like
Adam and Eve. They're in the garden, but they forgot who built the garden.
Yo.
It's like you teeter back and forth, and you're like, oh, yeah, right. And then you run back.
Yep.
And then time passes by, and then you move in.
Do you still deal with that?
What?
That teetering back and
Man,
forth?
well, yes, but not in the same ways. It's kind of like, y'all are just newly married, but it's kind of like arguments with my wife. We've been married so long. When we first got married, we had arguments. They would last long. Now they last like a second. Like, they used to be like, well, I'm just gonna go for a drive. You know what I mean? It's like,
could you stand in front of my car for a second?
now it's just kind of like we work through it and we're good. So it's kind of like that now. It's like the teeter is not the same as it was. It's more like a quicker conversation internally. Before it was like this war. Now it's more like, oh, you're afraid. Oh, you need to do this. Like, there's a dude I know, his name is Andy Crouch, and he, every so often, he gives away 10% of his net worth. Like, not 10% of what he brings in, but if he's worth $100,000, no, I'm lying. He gives away 50% of his net worth. That's right. Every so often, I think it's like every few years, he gives away 50% of his net worth. And so if he's like, oh, I'm worth $100,000, I'm giving away 50 grand, and we're just gonna let the Lord. He's like, it frees him so much to trust God.
Oh, he must be at such crazy peace. It's insane.
Like, I'm just like,
He's
dang,
walking on water.
bro.
He's walking on water.
Like, I think about it, I'm like, that's crazy. I was like, I'm not there yet, Yoda. I'm not there yet, Yoda, but I'm gonna work toward it. I mean,
have you been in your prayers talking to God about your craft?
You know what? Sometimes I think when I'm in the middle of it, I do. And we were having a conversation earlier because we were talking about what inspiration looks like and what's working. And like, I'm just convinced that God does not, like, he just doesn't, his character is consistently using the underdog. He just doesn't like want the prideful, got it all together, stack team. He's like, nah, I can't use you.
Yeah, he doesn't pick the qualified. He picks the underqualified and make him qualified.
And if you have too much, he's like, yo, get in. You gotta get rid of some of that army.
So you're talking about the first is last and the last is first.
Basically, yeah. Because for me, I'm like, as an artist, you do it so long. You're successful. You win the Grammys. You win the awards. All these things. You kind of know how the game is played. You know what buttons to push, and you can say, well, we need to push all these buttons again so we can have success. And then God's like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna let that happen. And you'll say, oh, we gotta get the pieces back that got us the win last time. And you'll think the pieces are the provision. But God is the provision. He's the one that provided the pieces in the first place. So I think as far as my craft is concerned, I'm in a place now where I'm like, Lord, I don't really care if you're going to, like, let's say the best producer on my team, like, he just is like, yo, I don't want to work with you anymore. Or let's say, you know, we had a guy that was working for Apple who was a big fan, and he was always making sure that they paid attention to my new music. And then he's like, yo, I don't work for Apple anymore. It's like we don't have any of those pieces. I actually like being there. It's weird. I like when like the odds are stacked against me and it doesn't look good, because then I'm like, okay, this is good weather for God to come and do his thing. But when all the pieces are lined up, it's like, we got an all-star cast. Look who's on the album. Look at the producers. Look at who works at Apple. Yeah, we got everything lined up. I'm like, yo, I don't know. If we did it, then we can take credit. If I can look back and say, oh, I know how we did that, then it wasn't God, it was us. I like to look back and be like, we didn't have the all-star cast, we didn't have the producers, we didn't have any of those things. And maybe God brought them at the end, or maybe God never brought them, but some random song just took off. Then that's what I love.
There's this new thing that I'm like, I pray that I say this right. But this is, now mind you, I'm not a teacher, but this is the biggest teaching in my heart right now. And I'm praying that this seed, if it is from the Holy Spirit, plants in your heart and millions of people's heart. I've came to the conclusion from taking a step back and looking at my career when it's coming to success and peace. And I've came to this conclusion.
Hold on. Let me get ready for this. All right.
Are you ready for this?
Yep.
The gospel, when it says, seek first the kingdom and all of its righteousness, and then the rest shall come. When I asked the Lord, help me digest this, what does this mean? This is the most simple way that I could think about it. You wake up and you put me first, I'm going to put you first. I'm going to need you to stop worrying about your needs. I want you to worry about my needs so that way I could worry about your needs. We will be a perfect partnership, but get up, stop being selfish, be grateful, search for my righteousness, my throne, my kingdomship, and my army will pave your feet. You will not be bothered. You will not need. You will not want. You will not fear. If you get up and your heart is saying, Lord, what do you need from me? I turn to my angels and I say, go and do his work.
I want to tell you that you're a liar. Because you are a teacher. You just struck a chord. And I don't say that like because I'm sitting here with you. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm actually a very skeptical person. Like I'll be kind and I'll be like, oh, thanks. You know what I mean? I appreciate you. But sincerely, that resonates heavy. Like I feel like that was flesh and blood did not say that. That was the Spirit of God. Nah, for real, for real. I think that's part of what I've been wrestling with is I've been creating music. And it's been like, what do I need to say? What songs need to be written? And I think it's funny because I posted something. I took it down, but I posted something on my page where I was like, hey, y'all, what do y'all want to hear from me? And what do y'all... And there was a very convicting comment in there. And it said, we want to hear what God is telling you. And I was like, dang.
And if that hit you and my words hit you, I always tell this to people. I don't believe in tongues being like shabalabalabalabala. And I don't mean any disrespect to anybody who believes in that, but I believe that my God could take a hold of a man's tongue. And when it really resonates with you, you can't hide from the Spirit of God. So when you read that comment enough to take it down and you heard this, I think what you need to come to the conclusion of as a brother is stop asking the world what you should be asking God.
All right, that's the end of the podcast, everybody.
Thank you so much for coming. This was an amazing... We got to run this back, dude.
Oh my gosh.
We got to run this episode back,
That was
dude.
too much. That's good, man. Yeah, that was great.
so many beautiful wisdom from the Lord. There's so much more that I want to know about you, but I mean,
You know, we're
this
doing
was so
another
beautiful.
episode for your podcast.
Come on.
So I think we do freeze it here and we pick up part 2 on your show.
I would love to.
I think me and you should stay close, dude. And really, if you ever need iron that needs to be sharpened,
Yeah.
I have brothers like Cliff, Stewart.
I love them. I just want to sit one day with all of them and just sit and just ask them a million questions.
I do that all the
Seriously.
time, dude.
They're like the breath of fresh. I always say it, and I will say
Yeah.
it again. Like when you're around them, it's like you're breathing the freshest air. It's
Yeah.
peace.
You know, when God says, when 2 or more gather in my name, a lot of people think that Jesus is only present when a few brothers and sisters
Mm-hmm.
are talking about Jesus. And that's not true. What Jesus is saying is that when you're with brothers and sisters that know the word of God, you can be held accountable for
Mm-hmm. That's
your
right.
words.
That's right.
Because one person will remember scripture and be like, whoa, brother, you're being
Yeah.
too skeptical here
Yeah,
when you
yeah,
should be
yeah.
more faithful here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think too, we are so, again, I'm reading this book and it convicts me again, like we're so individualistic, and God intended for us to be like community oriented. Like even the Lord's Prayer is our Father.
Yeah.
Bro,
yeah.
you know how, do you know how much that affected me?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how selfish I have been with my God and being like, because when I've been saying, yo, my God, my God, my God, so I brush shoulders against people. I'm like, this guy ain't part of the family, dude. Like, and that type of habit started from my
bro.
mouth.
Yeah,
as soon as
bro.
I said our Father, when I'm in
Yeah,
traffic and some dude cuts me off now, I'm like, that's his kid. I can't flick him off and pull over and beat his ass. Like that really changes the way you look at things. I love this episode, bro. Thank you so much for
No,
being here,
bro.
my man.
I appreciate
Thank you,
you.
Thank you so
bro.
much.
Appreciate y'all.
Is there anything you want to tell them before we get going?
I just want you to know that I'm just trying to hear from God right now. That's it. That's all I have.